I am Deloria Gilchrist, and I would like to thank each and every one of you for joining my webinar. This presentation will be in reference to the homeless problem in the Atlanta metro area. Let me share my screen with you. You can make a difference. Will you be the one to change 7,000 to 699? Homelessness is a growing epidemic around the world, but in Atlanta, over 7,000 people are homeless. There are more than 2,000 unsheltered people on the streets, and 1,300 of those people are families that lives on the street. That includes children. There are several reasons why people become homeless, and I want to just list at least 6 of the problems. Of course, there is more than 6, but I want to focus on number 1, substance abuse. Number 2, family and domestic violence. Number 3, mental illness. 4, criminal background. 5, physical disability or chronic medical problems. And 6, there's developmental disability. So, like again, that is just a few of the problems that causes people to be on the street. I want to talk about a few of the statistics here in Atlanta. African American make up 65%, the biggest population of homeless people in Atlanta. White is only 31%, and then multicultural or other only makes up a population of 4%. Some of the people living on the street, we have 23.8% people who's on the street with mental illness, 33.7% suffer with substance abuse. We have 5.1% of people living on the street with HIV/AIDS. Some people are on the street, 17.7% people are on the street due to domestic violence. And then we have 19.7% of veterans who's on the streets in Atlanta. So I want to jump back into some of the reasons that the people on the street. Number 1 is mental illness. Mental illness is hard to watch. It's even hard to understand. This population need more help than you think, and sometimes we just don't know how to help. Homelessness can be prevented with comprehensive care in an understanding environment. Also, those people could just get affordable medication and personal support. That would definitely help cut down on some of people living on the street with mental illness. Family and domestic violence is another reason. Studies show that many women experiencing homelessness are survivors of domestic violence, even if that is not the cause. Typically, survivors of domestic violence are often isolated from support networks, financial resources, by their abusers, and they're also, isolated from their families. So they lack steady income, employment history, credit history, and they suffer from anxiety, panic disorder, depression, and substance abuse. People with criminal backgrounds. So, of course, a lot of people who get out of prison are already coming onto the street homeless and jobless. So, for those who's trying to get back into society, due to their backgrounds, they're often denied housing assistance. They can't get employment, and typically, a lot of those people will, unfortunately, revert back to crime. Substance abuse is another reason. It's often caused It often causes homelessness. This behavior disrupts relationships with families and friends. It can cause people to lose their jobs. In many situations, however, substance abuse is a result of homelessness rather than the cause. People who are homeless often turn to drugs and alcohol to cope with their situations. People with physical disabilities. Again, veterans can fall into this category as well. The number of persons with disabilities who are homeless is higher than the number of people who are living in poverty. They have difficult time finding a place to live because a lot of times, landlords won't accommodate their living situation. And then programs such as SSI and SSDI is just not enough to keep people with disabilities from experiencing homelessness. It's not enough for rent and they can't even afford to eat. It's just not enough to put them in a good, comfortable situation. So the lack of opportunity or the inability to work make affording a place just extremely difficult for people on SSI and SSDI. And then those that's living with developmental disability, they lack skills that's needed for entry level jobs. A lot of times people don't want to take the time to, work with them or have the time and patience to teach people with developmental disabilities. Although there are programs out there, strictly for people with developmental disabilities, and there are places that will hire people with developmental disabilities. So they're out there. Um, so just a lack of skills needed for entry level jobs. They lack the capacity to break free from homelessness without intervention. A lot of times these people will actually need an intervention to help them break away from the homelessness. And again, this population typically receives SSI and SSDI, and normally it's just not enough for them to live on their own. So how can you help? You can contact your local shelters. You can volunteer your time. You can volunteer monetary donations. Join local advocacy groups if you have a special skill set, maybe dealing with people with physical and developmental disabilities, where you can kind of reach out and help. Just help bring awareness, because if it does not directly affect someone, they might not know, how this continues to be a growing epidemic. A lot of times, if it doesn't affect people, then they just don't want to be involved. So just by spreading awareness, just by letting people know, or just by getting involved, that can help one person, like one person to eat, maybe one person to go into recovery program, or one person just to be off the street, to get the help that they need, just to show that you care. I mean, can you imagine having to sleep under a bridge with only a cardboard to cover you, or you're on the streets with your child and you only have your body heat to keep them warm? This is just a reality that thousands of people all over, not just Atlanta, but all over the US face every night. I have listed a few shelters here in the Atlanta area that you could reach out to. And of course, you can also go online and Google these places. And of course, there's way more than what I've listed, but I've only listed 6. We have the Salvation Army Red Shield Services. They can be reached at 404-486-2700. We have the Shepherd's Inn downtown Atlanta. They can be reached at 404-588-4015. The Atlanta Union Mission, they can be reached at 404-588-4000. Then you have the Leonard House Quest 35 Incorporated. They can be reached at 678-705-5318. Then we have the Gateway Center Atlanta. They can be reached at 404-215-6600. And then we have the Veteran Empowerment Organization of Georgia, 404-889-8710. And the shelter that I listed for number 3, the Atlanta Union Mission, they are one of the largest and oldest organizations that has been around since 1938. helping the homeless population here in Atlanta. They offer many different programs. They have shelters for men, shelters for women and children. They have addiction recovery programs. They have spiritual recovery programs. They have vocational training day services. They have transitional housing. This particular, like I said, mission, they offer so many programs, but of course, that would not be possible if people did not volunteer their time and, monetary donations and clothings and food. So they have been around for a long time and have helped hundreds and hundreds of people. They also have 5 different service locations. They have the Shepherd's Inn, My Sister's House, Atlanta Day Shelter for Women and Children. They have Fuqua Hall. They have Potter's House. And also just visit their website. You can get way more information at atlantamission.org. And that's ATLANTAMISSION.org. And each one of those service locations specialize in something different. One location may just be a shelter for men. One location may be for transitional housing. They may have one shelter just for women and children, and they may have a shelter for the recovery programs. So I would definitely say visit their website because they have lots of information, lots of statistical information. Of course, you have the United Way out there. There are a lot of places out there that is trying to help with this cause to try to get people off the street because again, no one deserves to have to sleep on the streets. Again, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this quick webinar on homelessness in the Atlanta area, and I'm hoping that you can help make a difference. Thank you.